So for like the miracle that somebody really wants to get to know me, um, I'm hoping this can help. This is basically a paper on my, no, that's kind of backwards. It's my disorder, one of them. I have five. This is my worst one. I'm partially doing this, for me in the hopes that, something changes. But real talk, this is just to educate you on one of the. Some of y'all actually gonna realize y'all actually have this. Don't diagnose yourself because that's dangerous, but bring it up because some of y'all gonna see that this really probably will explain you. So, borderline personality disorder. I have that. I have post traumatic stress disorder. I have anxiety. I have attention deficit hyper disorder, and I have PTSD. They kind of all come from this though. And there's two type of like mental disorders. There's chemical. You got your bipolar, schizophrenic, stuff like that, and then you have your personality disorders where it's more like trauma induced, where it's more you don't need medication, you need therapy, you need people who care about you, you need people who really want to be there with you. Um, so it's going to be quite a bit because I wanted to make sure I get it all right. This is from the DSM book. Look it up if you don't know what that is. DSM-5. So as you can see, I'll be reading this literally and touching topics on how to make it easier to understand. A pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships, self image, and effects, and marked impulsivity, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by five or more of the following. So I'm about to list the nine symptoms. If you're reading this and you never even heard about this, well, if you have five or more, please contact a therapist, psychologist, whoever. I have all nine, and I'll go into it later. One, frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Note, do not include suicidal or self mutilating behavior. Do not. It will come up later. Two, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. 3. Identity disturbance, markedly and persistently unstable self image or sense of self. 4. Impulsivity in at least two areas that are potentially self damaging. Examples: spending money, sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, like without a seatbelt, speeding, binge eating. Those are some. Note, do not include suicidal or self mutilating behavior. Again, it will come up later. 5, and it came up. Reoccurrent suicidal behavior, gestures, or threats, or self mutilating behavior. That one is huge. We'll go into it later. Affective instability due to a marked reactivity of mood. Intense episodic dysphoria, irritability, or anxiety, usually lasting a few hours and only rarely more than a few days. 7. Chronic feelings of emptiness. 8. Inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Examples: frequent displays of temper, constant anger, reoccurring physical fights. And 9. Transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. So basically those are the nine. Those are symptoms that some of y'all probably already just like going through your head like, damn, and kind of makes sense now. So what I'll go through now is a little bit of a better explaining of them, and then I'll go into later because I know the people who really want to get to know me are going to watch all this. I'll go into how I suffer from pretty much all nine. So as you can see, diagnostic features. If you could read backwards. The essential feature of borderline personality disorder is a pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships, self image, and affects and marked impulsivity that begins by early adulthood and is present in a variety of contexts. Individuals with borderline personality disorder make frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. The perception of impending separation or rejection or the loss of external structure can lead to profound changes in self image, affect, cognition, cognition, I guess, and behavior. Guys, my education shit, to be honest with you. These individuals are very sensitive to environmental circumstances. The only reason I can do this is because I've been, pretty much forced to. They experience intense abandonment fears and inappropriate anger, even when faced with the realistic, time limited separation or when there are unavoidable changes in plans. Example: sudden despair in reaction to a clinician's announcing the end of the hour, or panic or fury when someone important to them is just a few minutes late or must cancel an appointment. They may believe that this abandonment implies they are bad. These abandonment fears are related to an intolerance of being alone and a need to have other people with them. Their frantic efforts to avoid abandonment may include impulsive actions such as self-mutilating or suicidal behaviors. Individuals with borderline personality disorder have a pattern of unstable and intense relationships. They may idealize potential caregivers or lovers at the first or second meeting, demand to spend a lot of time together, and share the most intimate details early in a relationship. However, they may switch quickly from idealizing other people to devaluing them, feeling that the other person does not care enough, does not give enough, or is just simply not there enough. These individuals can empathize with and nurture other people, but only with the expectation that the other person will be there in return to meet their own needs and demands. Guys, my glasses are huge as hell, as you can see, so they fall a lot. So please excuse the whole nerd gestures. Where was I? That's right. These individuals are prone to sudden and dramatic shifts in their views of others, who may alternatively be seen as beneficent supports or as cruelty punitive. Such shifts often reflect disillusionment with a caregiver whose nurturing qualities have been idealized or whose rejection or abandonment is expected. There may be an identity disturbance characterized by markedly and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. There are sudden and dramatic shifts in self-image characterized by shifting goals, values, and vocational aspirations. There may be sudden changes in opinions and plans about career, sexual identity, values, and types of friends. These individuals may suddenly change from a role of a needy supplicant for help to that of a righteous avenger of past mistreatment. Although they usually have a self-image that is based on being bad or evil, individuals with this disorder may at times have feelings that they do not exist at all. Such experiences usually occur in situations in which the individual feels a lack of meaningful relationship, nurturing, and support. These individuals may show worse performance in unstructured work or school situations. Individuals with borderline personality disorder display impulsivity in at least two areas that are potentially self-damaging. They may gamble, spend money irresponsibly, binge eat, substance abuse, engage in unsafe sex, or drive recklessly. Individuals with this disorder display recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures, or threats, or self-mutilating behavior. Let me speak on that part right quick. Stop saying just because they don't do it, it's not real. As you can see, bro, this is a disorder. Like, not everything's just fun and games. And just because you don't know what to do or just because you don't take it serious doesn't mean they don't. So try to humble yourself. Individuals, oh, excuse me. Completed suicide occurs in 8 to 10% in such individuals, and self-mutilating acts, cutting or burning, and suicide threats and attempts are very common. Recurring suicidality is often the reason that these individuals present for help. These self-destructive acts are usually precipitated by threats of separation or rejection or by expectations that the individual assumes increased responsibility. Self-mutilation may occur during dissociative experiences and often brings relief by reaffirming the ability to feel or by expediting, I don't know the word, the individual's sense of being evil. And for someone who knows it, expiating, expiating, whatever, espin. Individuals with borderline personality disorder may display affective instability that is due to a marked increase or a reactivity of mood, intense episodic dysphoria, irritability, or anxiety usually lasting a few hours but rarely a few days. The basic dysphoric mood of those with borderline personality disorder is often disrupted by periods of anger, panic, or despair, and is rarely relieved by periods of well-being or satisfaction. These periods may reflect the individual's extreme reactivity to interpersonal stresses. Individuals with borderline personality disorder may be troubled by chronic feelings of emptiness. Easily bored, they may constantly seek something to do. Individuals with this disorder frequently express inappropriate, intense anger or have difficulty controlling their anger. They may display extreme sarcasm, enduring bitterness or verbal outbursts. The anger is often elicited when a caregiver or lover is seen as neglectful, withholding, uncaring, or abandoned. Such expressions of anger are often followed by shame and guilt and contribute to the feeling of being evil. During periods of extreme stress, transient paranoid ideation or dissociative symptoms, example depersonalization, may occur, but these are generally insufficient severity or duration to warrant an initial diagnosis. Basically saying if you have that seriously, you have another problem. These episodes occur most frequently in a response to a real or imagined abandonment. Symptoms tend to be transient, lasting minutes or hours. The real or preserved return of the caregiver's insurance may relieve the symptoms. So, this right here is kind of ways to show you that you suffer from it, but kind of in more layman terms, like kind of better examples, so to say. Individual with borderline personality disorder may have a pattern of undermining themselves at the moment a goal is about to be realized. Example, dropping out of school just before graduation, regressing severely after a discussion of how well therapy is going, destroying a good relationship just when it starts. Destroying a relationship just when it is clear that the relationship could last. Some individuals develop psychotic-like symptoms, example, hallucination, body image distortions, ideas of reference, pneumonia. During times of stress, individuals with this disorder may feel more secure with transient objects, example, a pet or inanimate possession, than in interpersonal relationships. Premature death from suicide may occur in individuals with this disorder, especially in those with co-occurring depressive disorders or substance use disorders. I have both. Physical handicaps may result from self-inflicted abuse behaviors or failed suicide attempts. Reoccurrent job loss, interrupted education, and separation or divorces are common with these people. Physical and sexual abuse, neglect, hostile conflict, and early parental loss are more common in the childhood histories of those with borderline personality disorder. You also have depressive and bipolar disorders, substance use disorders, eating disorders, notably bulimia nervosa, post-traumatic stress disorder, and attention deficit hyperactive disorder. I literally have all but the bulimia and the bipolar. Borderline personality disorder also frequently co-occurs with other personality disorders. Just a little bit of a heads up, because a lot of y'all people say y'all antisocial. Antisocial personality disorder and borderline personality disorder are both characterized by manipulative behavior. Individuals with antisocial personality disorder are manipulative to gain profit, power, or some other material gratification, whereas the goal in borderline personality disorder is directed more towards gaining the concern of caretakers. So, all in all, it's not it's not about, oh damn, this really made me look at me. It's not about, if you can prove it. It's not about if they're telling the truth. Like, please understand that some people just really can't help it.